Matthew 7:24-29. Jesus said, "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash." When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught as one who had authority, and not as their teachers of the law. You know, these are such profound words of Jesus. He's not just giving us engineering or architectural advice. No, not at all. He's actually giving us insights on what to build our lives, our homes upon, if you will. And what are the things that will last, and what are the things that will erode and betray us? You know, it's interesting when I think of the collective power of wind and waves and the storms that take place on a coast. Over time, they overtake everything that's built upon the sand. Jesus' words are so true. Even as I stand next to this post right here, you can see at one point how high the sand actually was and how much has actually eroded away just from several years of storms, wind, rain, and the collection of all of these elements over time. They eventually overtake everything that's built upon them. You know, when you really think about aspects of our lives, and you really think about the things that we invest in, the things that we put time in, you know, anyone who owns a beach house or anyone who has a home that's on the coast will tell you it is absolute non-stop work. It is constant upkeep. It's constant investment in the things to just barely maintain what you have on the coast. And even then, when a big enough storm comes through, or even a few storms come through, the collective damage that they can do, regardless of your preparation, regardless of the work that you can put in, is unbelievably destructive. This is what Jesus, the kind of image that Jesus is trying to give us to work with. If you build your life upon the things of this world, the promises of this world, number one, it's exhausting. Time, effort, energy, the money that we throw away just so that we can find something that we can build our lives upon that will never last. That's the first part that Jesus wants to know. The next part that Jesus wants us to be aware of is what it looks like by contrast to build our lives upon Him, the rock. You know, Jesus does something else really profound in this talk that He gives. The image that He paints is that of a storm that hits both homes that are built upon the rock and homes that are built on sand. You know, you may have built your life on the rock, and yet a storm has blown into your life that has done unbelievable damage to you or to your loved ones or someone you really care about in your life. Jesus is careful to help us understand that the storms that roll in, they hit everyone. Home on the rock or home built on the sand. The storms, the winds, and the waves, and the collective time of those storms affect us all. The difference, as Jesus would point out, is what we have built our lives upon. See, what Jesus wants us to know is that when you build your lives upon sand, and the wind and the waves come, and the collection of time takes its toll, our foundation will simply disappear. When I look out into the ocean, 100 to 150 yards away, there were beach houses that no longer exist, are no longer standing. You would never know that someone shared memories and lives with someone else. The wind and the waves and time took it all. And everything that's built on the sand, eventually, wind and waves and time will take it all. What's interesting is the storms that come in, even when your life is built on the rock, eventually, even your house, your life, will be knocked over. But the difference is that foundation will stand the test of time. Not even the wind and the waves and the storms of this life will move that foundation. Not even sin, death, or Satan himself. Because when your life is built upon that foundation, the rock that is Jesus, when we pass away, what God builds within us and upon that foundation is a new home that is our lives, one for eternity, one in which is now built in perfection with Him for all time, that will outlast the wind and the waves of this present age. That is what Jesus has offered all of us in His selfless act when He would give up His life on the cross for you and for me. And His power displayed in the empty tomb makes possible this beautiful invitation that to build our lives upon the rock is to build our lives with Jesus for all eternity, with a new home, with our loving God for all time.